Okay, we're gonna answer some questions. I'm gonna give you some time to study for your quiz, which is on Tuesday of next week. Remember, we do not have school on Monday of next week, so I hope nobody walks in surprised. So we've discussed through number 5, correct? Of the equipment. Excellent. So number 6, contrast these unusual events with a miracle. So let's remind ourselves what a miracle is. A miracle is a special act of God that interrupts the normal cause of events. Um, it's an act of God to confirm the word of God through a messenger of God. It's something that would never have happened if nature had been left to its own devices. It happens rarely and by supernatural causes. All of that is an explanation of a miracle. So then, in contrast to that, what is an anomaly? What is an anomaly? Yeah. Yeah, a freak of nature that shouldn't work. And I think I mentioned the other day the tornado that put a piece of straw through drove it into a tree. That's weird, right? That doesn't usually happen. And those things sort of happen sometimes. What else did I see? Bumblebee is a freak of nature. Yeah, shouldn't be able to fly. Um, yeah, that's an anomaly. It's just an unusual natural situation. What is providence? What is providence? Yeah.
Something caused by God indirectly.
Yeah, something caused by God indirectly using natural laws. It isn't a direct divine intervention. Um, long time ago. So I had little kids at the time. I had an old beater um, Dodge Caravan. That was the ugliest color brown you could ever imagine. It was awful. And whenever it rained, the engine would quit. It was awful. But I had the opportunity one afternoon to go shopping um, at Kmart alone. And like that didn't happen. Like I got to go out alone for a while, just like didn't care where I went, just getting away for a little bit. If you ever are a stay-at-home mom, you'll understand, or stay-at-home dad, you'll understand. So Jeff was home with the kids, and I got to go to Kmart. Kmart at that time was in Bellevue. None of you remember this, but you know where that on the hill where that great big Bellevue University building is, like that 7-story, 6-story, whatever. That was where Kmart was. And so I was in that parking lot. I went in. I don't know why I was at Kmart. And I guess I bought stuff. I don't know. But I came back out. There was no such thing as a key fob. So I put my key into the door and I turned it and I heard it unlock and I took it out and I went to open it and it was locked. And I thought, well, that's weird. Put it back in, did it again, heard the same thing. Opened the door, got in the car, and I was coming out of the parking lot and I turned left to go down to Fort Crook Road. Is everybody envisioning this with me, right? That little road that goes like this, and you come out at Fort Crook Road, like across from the pool place, the pool billiards place, and my light is green. I see that my light is green. And just before I enter the intersection, a car goes flying through, totally on the road. And I realized, had my car door not unlocked, right? Now, can I say for certain that that was a providential act of God? I can't. But it certainly wasn't normal to unlock my van and hear it unlock and have it not unlock. So providence is providence, or providence is something like that. What is a psychosomatic event? Mind over matter. So psycho means in the brain, right? Having to do with the brain, and or the mind, depending on what you are studying. And then somatic has to do with thinking. So what you think in. And so a psychosomatic event is our psychological cures for either false illnesses or the limited power of mind over matter. There was a book that was called like Laugh Your Way to Health or something like that, and by being happy then you'll be healthier, and that may be generally true. But you're not gonna cure really bad diseases. But there is this sort of our mindset has an impact on our lives, and there have been reports of people recovering from things in part because of their attitude toward that. So that's what a psychosomatic event is. What's magic? Yeah. Sleight of hand. It's trickery. It's not really happening. Nobody's actually being sawn into. And the car didn't really disappear out into thin air. It's trickery or sleight of hand. And then what are satanic signs? Going back to Saturday Night Live. Obviously it's a work of Satan and or his minions, and Satan does have certain powers, but it's limited, and so it's the work of demons who don't elevate God, but they have a certain amount of power, not ultimate power, but a certain amount of power. So those things are not miracles; they are separate. Now, why don't we see biblical miracles today? I mean, when Jesus was on earth, he was healing people. He was healing a lot of people. It was happening a lot. And his own resurrection, obviously, was a miracle as well. So why don't we see that all? Yeah.
Because those miracles are happening when God is
Right. Throughout history, there are these punctuated times and places where a lot of miracles are seen. And God is confirming something. God is teaching something, and a lot of times it's something new. So there's this misconception that the Bible records miracles happening all the time, but actually, even in the Bible, it's punctuated during the time of Moses, during the time of Jesus. Where there were periods where God was confirming the truth through an actual message. And then the other thing is, though, today I think we see more miracles in places where God is at work, drawing people to Himself. Not and certainly there has to be people who are believing that that miracle will take place. And I'm not saying that miracles never take place around us, because I believe they do. But I remember being in Zambia, I can't remember which time, but I'm teaching. And I'm teaching the women. And one of the woman's daughters was like, she was like, I don't know, 5, 6 years old. And she's lying on the ground and she looks awful. And I'm getting distracted in my teaching. And I'm like, is she okay? And she looked. And so afterward, through an interpreter, I spoke to her mother, and she was deathly ill. And the mom had her there on the floor. And I'm like, we need to pray. And so they prayed for her. We prayed for her. I went back to our house, and I said, we need to pray for this little girl. She is really sick. I didn't think she was going to make it through the afternoon. And we had lunch, and I walked out to teach for the afternoon. I don't know how much longer later it was. And she's on the playground running around. I worked fast on that one. I believe there are miracles today, but not as frequently as when God's confirming a new truth. And at this point, we have truth. I don't think that there's new truth at this point that is being. We have the Bible, and there's not a new word, a new truth. Jesus said, your word is. Okay, so we're going to stop there, and I'm going to worry about the engaged questions. And then you're going to spend today either preparing for that quest that is on Tuesday, or you're going to be working on something else for some other classes. ¿Está bien? Oh, good.
Oh.